Y'all, this week, the President of the United States threatened to bomb Oman. That is a neutral ally, y'all, that has never fired a shot at us, currently doing the thankless work of trying to broker peace over the Strait of Hormuz. The same week, a merchant mariner died getting a ship out of that strait while the president posted that it's open and operating. And the same week, his own Secretary of Defense found time to stand on a stage at the Iowa State Fair while three of our own ships were dealing with broken toilets, no air conditioning, and a deployment that's now the longest in modern Navy history. And we're talking tonight about priorities, who this administration protects, who it threatens, and who it just plain old forgets. And y'all, I'm pretty sure it's becoming obvious to you, this administration is forgetting a lot of us important folks. We're the important ones, but we're the ones being forgotten, neglected, and just plain old mistreated now. And as a veteran, like I said, I cannot stand to see this happening to our Navy, to our sailors, to our military. So that's why I've got to stay on this topic.
Standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Built upon the shoulders of the Constitution, rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal. I need to hear a hallelujah, though I'm not considered a believer by some. I still believe in the warmth of heaven come. I need the rapture I feel when my feet touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the valley of kingdom come. And when I reach that valley,
Y'all, welcome to the Hillbilly ThinkTank. And I am the educated hillbilly. No, that's not an oxymoron, y'all. Don't call me a moron. There have been educated, erudite, and emancipated hillbillies here in Kentucky ever since my kith and kin came through that Cumberland Gap with Daniel Boone and the Long Hunters on their quest to find and establish life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness right here. They did it with integrity, clawing, and grit, and they established that here for us. And it's up to this generation to keep that same grit and determination if we want our kids to find life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness here. So y'all, I'm Spencer Keck. I'm a candidate for Magistrate in District 3 here in Hardin County. I'm also a combat veteran, a retired Navy doc, independent duty corpsman, that is, precisely. And currently, I am a public school teacher. Now, tonight's episode, I'm speaking from the heart. I just don't know how else to put it tonight, because it's something that I think I cannot let go of. I'm a dog now with a favorite bone, and I'm going to keep gnawing on it until we get what we need for us. And by us, I mean all of us, real Americans and lovers of America, who cannot stand to see our sailors and Marines so mistreated currently. So, y'all, right now, if you didn't know it, our Navy is in tough shape. If you haven't been watching, this is the first time to watch it. That's what's happening. Hey, I see we got Christine Vita here saying, how's your day been? Hey, my day's been interesting. We're here in Kentucky. It's always good, right? All right, y'all. Segment 1. We'll bomb the S out of them. It's supposed to be a semi-family friendly show here, so I can't say what the president really said on air, or they'd cut me off. But he said, we'll bomb the SH, and then you fill in the blanks, out of them. Monday, in a Fox News interview with Trey Yinks, the president was asked about Oman, the country hosting and brokering peace talks, y'all, between Washington and Tehran over the Strait of Hormuz. His answer, if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the shit out of them. I mean, that's what he said, so surely they won't block me for saying that, right? Let's sit for a second. Oman has never been at war with the United States. Oman is the one party both Washington and Tehran still trust enough to sit down with. And the president's response to them doing their job, the job that might actually end this war, is a threat to bomb them. This isn't even the first time. He's made a similar threat back in May. Senator Tim Kaine has announced he'll introduce a resolution when the senator returns from recess, specifically barring military action against our ally, Oman. Now, y'all, what does it really mean when the man trying to end a war threatens the one country trying to help him end it? To me, it means that we are in the twilight zone of diplomacy. I mean, I have never in my life imagined that even the craziest of leaders would threaten to bomb a country that is trying to help us broker the end of a war that no one in America wanted in the first place. Think about that. All right, we got Jessica Fairfield on here saying, sure, trying to keep trying anybody and going like a video. All right, segment 2, open and operating. How many times have we heard this one? I know I'm getting tired of this broken record. Here's what the president posted this week, that the Strait of Hormuz is open and operating. All water mines have been removed or detonated. Now, y'all, again, as a sailor who was in the first Gulf War on a fast frigate, guided missile frigate, standing watch, looking for those mines, I know that that's not happened yet. Not at all. So here's what actually happened this week. A bulk carrier called the Minoan Dignity was struck by an unknown projectile exiting Hormuz, killed the chief engineer. Days before that, a cargo ship called the Tahaman was hit near Yemen, killing 4 mariners, 3 Pakistani and 1 Indonesian. The International Maritime Organization's running count has now at least 17 mariners killed and 65 attacks on commercial ships since this war began in February. Ship traffic through Hormuz is running about 10 transits a day right now. Before the war, it was around 130 a day. Think about that and chew on it a bit. Now, y'all, let's think about this. These are the men moving the diesel that runs Hardin County farm implements. We need those vehicles of, the waterways to be carrying that diesel here to Hardin County. That is, the short truth of it. Our farmers need this strait to be open right here in Hardin County. Farmers all across America need this. But we're talking about Hardin County, we're talking about Kentucky. So that strait is not open and operating like our Captain Bone Spurs is trying to convince us that it is. Just by saying something, don't make it so. If we haven't learned that by now, well, we got a lot of learning to do. That's, how else can we say it? So these again, those men are moving that diesel that our Hardin County farm equipment and freight stock shelves in Elizabethtown needs. We need it bad. We needed it yesterday. We need that fertilizer production to be able to bring those urea and other things through that strait that we got to use to make fertilizer for our farms. Our agriculture industry in this area cannot just keep on watching this go on and on and on. If you think it can, man, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona I really would like to sell you at a nice price. But it can't keep going on, y'all. We can't keep a madman in office threatening to bomb our allies. I mean, that would be like us in World War II threatening to bomb England or Australia if we didn't like something they said during World War II. Where would we be today? Heck, we'd either be speaking German or Japanese or both. So what kind of person thinks that Captain Bone Spurs is still the best negotiator in the world? Who still believes that he's that, master of the art of the deal? I never believed it when I saw that in the front cover of a book. And of course, he had a good ghostwriter, but that didn't make it true. Ghostwriters don't always tell the truth either. We didn't know that. So this is a situation we're in. We've got Navy ships in dire need of help, sailors in dire need of help. And yet we've got this guy bloviating about BS and telling people he's going to bomb the shit out of folks who have been our allies for 50 years. When have you ever seen anything like this in U.S. history? Please tell me in the comments when you've seen something like that in the history of the world. I mean, I just can't imagine it, can't fathom it. So, okay. We know that, again, the folks that have died in this strait, there are at least 17 international mariners have died in the strait since the war began in February. Now, we know that we don't have a real strategy here. It changes every single day. It's not, we don't get strategies, we just get talking points and we get bully points. But that's not what the world needs. That's not what our farmers need. Open and operating isn't a headline to the folks here in Hardin County relying on this. We need this to be able to run our home operated businesses. So that's not an open strait. That's a strait where merchant sailors are dying so the president can say a sentence that isn't true at all. And he still has people believing that everything that comes out of his mouth is pure gold truth, just like the golden toilets he sits on at his house. So segment 3, the real priorities. These are priorities that mean it to everything to us. While all this is happening, those mariners dying, a strait he claims is safe, a war with no end date, let's talk about where the Secretary of Defense has actually been spending his time, because this is historical. Back in May, Pete Hegseth flew to Kentucky to campaign against Congressman Thomas Massie in the GOP primary, an almost unheard of move for a sitting defense secretary and one that raised real Hatch Act questions. And y'all, I worked for the federal government for a bit, and I would have been one who would lose my job if I did what Hegseth did as a federal employee. And he's the head of a federal employee branch. So we know that Massie lost after Hegseth came out, did that campaigning. the most money ever spent on a congressional race ever. Yeah, that was just, it was amazing. So this past Monday, well, Whiskey Pete Hegseth was at the Iowa State Fair campaigning for Congressman Zach Nunn. Told the crowd he grew up going to state fairs, then used an anti-trans slur about troops serving under his own command. He's now being talked about seriously inside Republican circles as a possible 2028 candidate. Yo, I mean, what's going on? What Secretary of Defense, is supposed to mean is something that I don't know if anybody even really fathoms anymore. The Secretary of Defense is supposed to mean someone who's on his job 24/7, who doesn't have time for eating corn dogs at the Iowa State Fair or any state fair. He should not have time for that. He should only have time in an active war to be engaging in planning. But he is leaving ships stranded at sea while he's eating corn dogs in Iowa and talking crap about trans troops, which there are, what, 3 of? Come on. This is just getting to be an absolute joke. And I didn't think that our military could become such a laughingstock. And here's what we got. So now, here's what he wasn't fixing, like I said, while he was on that stage. The USS Benfold, a guided missile destroyer with 300 sailors aboard, spent 4 days dead in the water in the South China Sea last month. No power, no air conditioning, no working toilets, and no hot meals. And y'all, I was an independent duty corpsman on a guided missile destroyer. So I know what that life is like. And that is absolutely freaking intolerable. Now, a sister ship had to bring them food. The USS Boxer deployed to the Middle East since March with no port call, just like the Lincoln had no port call. The USS Boxer has sailors' families reporting no working toilets, undercooked food, and shortages of hygiene products for women on board. And the Navy is denying it. And the USS Abraham Lincoln has now spent more than 260 days at sea, the longest deployment in modern Navy history, with sailors reportedly attempting to go overboard and Congress demanding answers on food, water, mail, and mental health. And yeah, it's more than them threatening to go overboard. They've gone overboard. They have gone overboard on purpose. So 3 ships, same week that the Secretary of Defense had time for a fair and hot dog eating, getting himself some cotton candy, and making the most horrible statements about troops that he could. So that's where we're at. Now, I would like to ask you what support the troops means to you when the man running the Pentagon can't find the time to fix the destroyer's air conditioning, but can find that time for a campaign bus tour. What does that say to you about the priorities of this administration? What does that say to you if you ever hear them say, oh, support the troops, when they don't do it at all? Segment 4, allies punished, adversaries rewarded. That's what we got going on, y'all, if you ain't watching it. It's not just the Navy. This same week, the president ordered a drastic cut to Ulchi Freedom Shield, the annual joint exercises with South Korea, and told reporters part of the reason was that South Korea's president wouldn't commit his own military to help with the Iran war. South Korea officials said they got no advance warning. It baffled their own foreign and defense ministries. We have been engaging in this exercise for generations, y'all. We have got to keep the tip of the spear sharp there in South Korea, because the Koreans are not our allies, but South Korea is. Well, here's the part that should stop you cold. Well, we're pulling back from our actual treaty ally over an Iran war grudge. North Korea has sent an estimated 15,000 of its own troops to fight for Russia in Ukraine, with Ukraine's president saying more are being prepared to go. So we're scaling back readiness with a democracy that stood beside us since 1953. And the same season, the dictatorship across that border is actively arming and blooding its soldiers in somebody else's war. Now, I mean, are we just getting any insaner? That's what I'd like to know. That's what I'm asking. All right, Tom says, vapid is too kind a word to describe Keck's breath. Disingenuous is also too kind a word. I have to agree with you, Tom, completely. Yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight. So, what deterrence actually requires, y'all, is true commitments to our allies. You should not threaten to bomb an ally that you've had for 50 years as that ally is actively engaging and trying to end a war that we don't seem to be able to end, but they're trying to help us end that. They're trying to negotiate between Tehran and us. So, deterrence includes maintaining your healthy relationships with your good allies and telling South Korea, who absolutely loves us, that, oh, we're going to treat you like you are a disloyal dog that bites its owner's hand that feeds it, when that's not what South Korea is. South Korea is one of our most loyal, extremely loyal allies. I mean, I've been to Veterans of the Korean Wars conventions. I went to one in Virginia Beach while I was on active duty. Well, I met some of those veterans, and they honored my brother who lost his leg and hand in Afghanistan. They honored my brother at their convention. You want to know who rolls out the red carpet at every one of those memorial conventions where all these Korean War veterans come together? South Korea. South Korea lavishes the Korean War veterans with so many presents and accolades at every single one of these events, because they are so thankful for our sacrifices that kept their country from becoming a communist dictatorship. And yet our president loves him some, president of North Korea. He loves that president of North Korea. They're just pen pal buddies and have been for a while now. So it doesn't bother him to treat our South Korean ally like crap, worse than crap, like dog doo-doo. And yet to kiss right up to the dictator up north. We should not call this anything but an absolute travesty. Captain Bone Spurs is not a military genius. So y'all, my final take tonight, we just got to realize where we're at. I served this country for 24 years, 2 combat deployments. I know what it takes to keep a ship running and a crew safe, because that was my job. That, when you talk about Fort Knox, talk about this county, right? We have so many folks here who had the same type of job and still do. So that's not paid for with a Fox News soundbite or a staged war soundbite. We owe so much more to our veterans here. So threatening to bomb the one ally trying to end this war doesn't end it faster. Claiming a strait is safe doesn't make it safe for the man that has to sail through it tonight and tomorrow. And the Secretary of Defense on the campaign trail isn't the same as the Secretary of Defense doing his job. This administration has plenty of time to spend on making threats to our allies. It needs to realize how much time it has got to spend on really fostering our meaningful relationships. We can't get rid of them. We can't keep doing this and call it success, right? I think we all surely know this. It doesn't take a genius to realize this. So again, let's just say it one more time. This administration has plenty of time for threats, plenty of time for rallies as if they're still running for president, and apparently none left over for air conditioning, working toilets, or an ally that has stood by us for over 70 years. So in closing, here's my ask. Going into November, send people to Frankfurt and to Washington who understand the difference between strength and swagger. Strength protects the people standing the watch. Swagger threatens our allies and leaves a destroyer full of sailors and Marines without a working head for 4 days. If you don't know, in the Navy and Marine Corps, head means toilet and bathroom. So from the hollers to the highways, Kentucky doesn't have to agree on everything to look out for each other. That's Fleet Marine Force gospel and small town common sense, y'all. Same coin. To every Kentuckian still deployed, still standing a watch somewhere far from home tonight, we know that you're far from your Kentucky homes, y'all. We see you and we are grateful to you. Y'all, this has been the Hillbilly Think Tank. We need to keep thinking deeply, keep asking the right questions, keep making the smart demands. I am Spencer Keck. Y'all, hopefully you've had a great Friday Eve. And this is Keck Out. Bless your corazon. Don't let the man get you down.
Stand undivided, because we will raise the fallen. Now I need to hear a hallelujah as we tear down the wall between heaven and earth, as tears turn to mirth, as we walk through the valley of death, and I draw my last breath. I know